Hello and welcome to this audio article by ESCP Business School, produced in partnership with the Commercial Department of the Financial Times. Today's topic is sustainability, and specifically whether businesses are really going far enough to reach the increasing standards being set around being green, and whether they're meeting the expectations of their end clients, the general public. I'm Matthew Sansom, and I'm joined by Jade Plank and Rebecca Ruff, who are ESCP students and co-founders of the Responsible Business podcast, and Marie-Georges, sustainability partner at Deloitte. Marie, to start things off, do you think that the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way businesses will view sustainability for good? Is there a marked difference in Q1 2021 compared to a year ago?
Thank you very much, Matthew. Yes, to answer your question, Deloitte has issued its Global Resilience Report, and we have asked more than 2,000 CEOs in 21 different countries how their organizations were coping with the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic and how resilient they felt their organizations were. And it's interesting to note that climate change has emerged as the main concern of CEOs. It was already something really strong, but really the COVID crisis has put the spotlight on it and has increased the awareness of CEOs.
Rebecca, how much does this change boil down to defining sustainability across value chains from a business point of view?
I think you're touching upon a very tricky subject, which is how do you define sustainability and how do you define these, what I would call buzzwords today. And this is very hard. I don't think there is a term that could be qualified as a sustainable company.
I'm going to turn to Marie here. The enthusiasm is there, but as Rebecca mentions, one person's definition of sustainability may be drastically different from another's. What part is regulation going to play in ensuring that sustainability is defined?
I think we need to go back to the definition of sustainable development. The definition of a sustainable development is the ability to develop ourselves without preventing the future generations to do so. Once a company is aware of the negative impacts it has, then what is really, really difficult is that there is no recipe. There's no book in which you can read the solution to reduce your impacts and transform your negative impacts into positive impacts. So this question has no obvious answer. And that calls for a big exercise of design and projection of this is where I stand as a company and where could I stand in 10 to 20 years to be a company with positive impact.
Jade, it feels a little too easy to blame everything on big business. When Marie is talking about collective responsibility, to what extent do we as individuals have to reframe our lives and our expectations of our lives to contribute to a sustainable future?
So I agree that it's about collective action. I think it's essential that everyone takes responsibility for this because at the end of the day, if I continue buying products that are very environmentally damaging and I demand these products, obviously companies will continue producing it in the system we're in. Now, I think companies have a really big responsibility to remain transparent and be honest in how they do business. And what I mean with that is, for example, when you look at companies who talk about how they're becoming sustainable, and then you see that in the back, this is not really happening. For me, there's an issue there because consumers cannot take the responsibility to say, I want to buy a product that is sustainable because they don't have the information necessary to do that. And so I think it is about collective action, but I think businesses have the responsibility to be honest about the way they do business and enable people to make a choice, give them the opportunity.
Rebecca, when you're looking for a job, how are you going to look at the businesses that you're going to hopefully apply and get jobs with?
I think it's again complicated, but there are some main points I always look at. For example, if a company mainly talks about offsetting projects and not about real reduction in their supply chain or any real measures I can see within their company or systematic change within, then I know it's not a company which really tries. It goes for the easy way out and just plants some trees, which has become the ultimate marketing symbol. So I think looking out for companies which actually promote reduction before any offsetting projects is something I look at. There was a very interesting article lately I read which showed that only 1% out of 1,000 directors in the US and the most influential companies had accurate information about climate change, which is very low. And there is a clear problem of knowledge in the leading positions. And I think that maybe the way I could have the most purpose and impact is going to a company which is actually not very environmental friendly and try to change things from within to hopefully change the system. But that's a big task.
Marie, could you give us an example of a company that's doing a really good job, in your eyes, when it comes to treating sustainability properly? What business would you say would be a model for taking it seriously, rather than, as Rebecca mentions, just pledging to plant trees at the World Economic Forum?
I see a lot of companies doing good. There's always the examples of I would call them sustainability pure players like Patagonia, for example. And you have also big global companies like Unilever, like Danone, that have really taken strong commitments and that you see are really honestly trying to change their companies. It's always easier to create a new company from scratch, sustainable from floor to ceiling, than transforming an existing non-sustainable company into a sustainable one. So I will say that nobody has done it at scale completely yet. Nobody. But we see a real effort from companies, and they're again trying to do it, but the road is still a long one.
At the end of the day, if we really want to make this change, you need to have a systemic change. So the HR, the marketing department, every department should understand the real environmental challenges. And only if everyone understands them in a company, you can really make a difference, because everyone makes choices in a company, and these choices need to be aligned with the direction we want to take at the environmental level.
Thinking about what Jay just mentioned, Marie, have you got an example of a firm that has taken sustainability out of its former home of CSR and has rolled it out across the entirety of the business?
Yes, what happened at H&M recently, the former head of sustainability at H&M was appointed CEO, which is an interesting move, showing that sustainability doesn't happen in the sustainability department. It happens everywhere in the company. And again, Jade, I like the term you used. You used the term systemic. It has to be a systemic change. I like to compare the sustainable transformation to what the digital transformation has been a few years ago. At the beginning of it, we had created digital departments. And in the end, digital is everywhere, and the digital departments have disappeared. And that's the same with sustainability. We want sustainability to disappear because we want sustainability to be the new software, the new mindset. We want sustainability to be in every CFO mind and in every head of HR, in every director of operations. It has to be everywhere. So the idea is really to transform all the companies and all the functions, all the departments in the companies, and help them get this new mindset.
I think it's important to wrap up a conversation about sustainability on a positive note, and I can't do better than that. Thank you to my guests Jade Plank and Rebecca Bruff, ESCP students and also co-founders of the Responsible Business podcast, which you will find at your normal podcast provider, and to Marie Georges, sustainability partner at Deloitte. You'll find more thought-provoking audio articles by ESCP on ft.com. And you'll find a director's cut of my conversation with Marie, Jade and Rebecca, and much more at thechoice.org. Thanks for listening.